Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, we've got a little bit of a fun video here looking at every team's potential starting QB in 2021. I'm making some predictions here, what I think could happen through free agency, through some trades, and also through the NFL draft. So if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to do that right now to not miss out on any of our other content. As some of these things do unfold throughout the offseason, we will be covering those things. And also, we have a free jersey giveaway here on the channel. Some of you might already know about it. It is a Jacksonville Jaguars Trevor Lawrence jersey, never been worn, brand new. And if you guys like the video, are subscribed, and comment, you will be entered into this giveaway. The giveaway will be running for just over a month. We don't even have 2,000 subscribers yet, so you have better odds here than you do on any other channel if you are subscribed and comment and like the video today. That would be so awesome to get yourself entered into this jersey giveaway. So now let's jump right into the video here. And we're going to start in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals, their starting quarterback in 2021 will be Joe Burrow. Will he start opening day? I'm not sure yet. He's rehabbing from that ACL tear. But he will be the overarching starter for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is the guy they were planning around, obviously. Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger. There's some rumors about him possibly not being back in Pittsburgh because of his contract. I think that ultimately both sides want a reunion. I do think it's important to note that maybe they will explore the free agent opportunities to find a backup guy, someone who could succeed after Ben Roethlisberger. But at this point, I do think he will be back. And yes, guys, some of these are going to be pretty obvious. Some of these teams, they're quite straightforward with who's going to be their starter. But there are some fun teams that are really worth looking at here in this. Baltimore Ravens is going to be Lamar Jackson. Not a lot to say here. Former MVP. He is going to be Baltimore's starter for the next at least probably 6 or 7 years. At the Cleveland Browns, now we got Baker Mayfield. Great season last year. This is another obvious one. He is going to be back as Cleveland's starter. There is going to be no rumors surrounding him and his tenure in Cleveland. Now we take a step out west in the AFC here with the Denver Broncos. And this one was really challenging for me. I put Drew Lock as their starter, but I think this is going to be his final year as the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I just don't see him really lasting that long after this year. I think that they give him a shot. New management there, new GM replacing John Elway. I think that they see what they have with him, try and hit on the draft and a few other positions, especially cornerback, maybe an edge spot as well. And then I think 2022 draft, they're really in the driver's seat for a quarterback at that point, looking for a long-term replacement to Drew Lock. The Las Vegas Raiders is going to be Derek Carr. He's going to be their starting quarterback. He is a very good quarterback, actually, in my opinion. He's above league average in a lot of areas, has a good arm, good decision maker. I believe he threw 28 touchdowns last year as well. And I think this Raiders team, if they put some defense around him, could be a really, really good team moving forward. This offense has been very lethal. They just cut Tyrell Williams to free up some money. We'll see what they do this offseason to surround Derek Carr. The Kansas City Chiefs, this one is the biggest no-brainer of all of them. Patrick Mahomes is the guy there in Kansas City. Los Angeles Chargers, we've got Justin Herbert. What a great rookie year for Justin Herbert. He really emerged. I was a little skeptical of him. I'm not going to lie with you guys. I didn't necessarily see him translating to the NFL as well as he has. He made a lot of big throws, especially under duress. The Chargers have to do a better job this year at putting an offensive line around him, keeping him clean in the pocket, and giving him time to hit those deep routes to guys like Jalen Guyton, also like Keenan Allen continue to do his thing out wide. He's an incredible wide receiver. I think the Chargers have a good one here with Justin Herbert, and he will be the franchise guy for the years to come there in LA. Buffalo Bills, another guy who took a really big step forward in Josh Allen. He has also emerged as a franchise type of quarterback. They made it to the AFC Conference Championship game. They're a piece or two away from really becoming a Super Bowl team, and I think it's very possible we could see them make that jump this next season. New York Jets, here's one of the first ones that we see that is a little bit different. Zach Wilson out of BYU will be the New York Jets starter in 2021. I expect a Sam Darnold trade. You'll see what team does get Sam Darnold a little bit later on here in the video. The BYU kid, I think that he's going to sell himself to Joe Douglas. He had such a great year at BYU, had arguably the best year in all of college football in a lot of regards. I know the weaker competition, it's a little bit of a question mark, but the talent is there. The guy can throw the ball outside the numbers. He can throw on the move. He maneuvers in the pocket very well. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. It's very possible he could be the second best QB in this class behind Trevor Lawrence. I think the Jets taking him would be a solid selection. The New England Patriots, here I have Marcus Mariota as the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots next season. Whether this is a buy low move, maybe a third, fourth round pick for Mariota, or if the Raiders do cut him and they just sign him outright, I could see that being the pathway in which Marcus Mariota is the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. One other guy to watch here is Jacoby Brissett. I think that the Patriots would love to reconvene with Jimmy Garoppolo. However, I just don't see that happening this offseason quite yet. So I think it's really between Mariota and Brissett, but I have the edge towards Marcus Mariota at this point. Now the Miami Dolphins, and here is the big one. Deshaun Watson will be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins this next season. My reasoning on why I think that now at this point. I'm looking at Carolina. I think that they've got a little bit of difficulty with the money, trying to put everything together to figure out how to put a team around Deshaun Watson in a way that's going to really help them move forward as a franchise. The Dolphins, they have the infrastructure, they have the picks, they have the roster, they have everything you need. They have the coach as well with Brian Flores. I think that this team is one quarterback away from being a true contender, and Deshaun Watson is going to be that guy. Not to mention they have a pretty valuable asset as well in Tua Tagovailoa, who would become the Houston Texans starting quarterback next season. I think the Texans would sell themselves on a new rebuild around a young QB, someone who they feel can maybe build around. Watson wants out. He told their new head coach, David Culley, that. Again, he's reiterated it multiple times. Now the Texans do officially hit the rebuild button. Tua Tagovailoa is their guy moving forward in a deal. The Indianapolis Colts, they brought in Carson Wentz. This has been an insane offseason period already. We've already seen a lot of quarterbacks get moved. Carson Wentz being one of them. He reconvenes with Frank Reich there in Indianapolis. I think he's actually going to have a good year, and he's going to push Indianapolis a little bit further into that playoff hunt, maybe even make them and a team that could get to the conference championship. I wouldn't rule that out. I think the Colts are going to be really good with Carson Wentz under center. The Jacksonville Jaguars, this is going to be Trevor Lawrence. We've known this for months now. He is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars starter on opening night of the NFL. He's going to come in, be that guy for them. He has real franchise quarterback potential. I'm really excited for Jacksonville Jaguars fans all around the world that he is going to be their starter. The Tennessee Titans is going to be Ryan Tannehill. That is going to stay steady here. He's played very well in his tenure as a Tennessee Titan, and I think that he's going to continue to play well moving forward with them as long as Derrick Henry's in that backfield. Now, moving into the NFC, we got the Dallas Cowboys. This is another one of those hard ones to select, but I do think Dak Prescott will be their starting quarterback for the majority of 2021. Whether it's going to be the franchise tag, a short-term deal, maybe a long-term deal, that's yet to be seen. But the Dallas Cowboys are going to figure it out with Dak Prescott. He will be back as their starter next season. The New York Giants, I got Daniel Jones still. I think he will be their starter for at least one more year, but I think time is starting to tick on Daniel Jones there in New York, just like it is right now on Sam Darnold on the other New York team, the New York Jets. I think that Daniel Jones is running out of time there in New York. He's got to figure out things right now. You see, this is the third year for him now. This is when executives, GMs, teams start to expect the quarterback to pick up the play, and they no longer give them the, oh, they're young, they're learning mentality. Instead, it's, okay, we've got to see real strides here and progression. Otherwise, we're moving on from you. Daniel Jones is in danger of that right now with the New York Giants. I think this is his final year as a New York Giants starter, unless we see a massive improvement this season. The Philadelphia Eagles here staying in that NFC East. It's going to be Jalen Hurts. Again, I think that this is probably the worst position to be in right now. The Eagles are a complete dumpster fire, in my opinion. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be a one-year starter in the NFL. And don't be surprised if in 2022, the Eagles are targeting a QB in the top 5 picks of the NFL draft. I think that they're going to be looking to move on from Jalen Hurts after this season. I just don't think this situation is very conducive for a guy like Jalen Hurts. It's a little tough for him. Doesn't have a lot of weapons, doesn't have a lot of things going right there in Philadelphia. I think that he gets 1 year shot at it. And if he doesn't play great, I think he's no longer going to be the starter of the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington football team. This is another tough one to project here. Some people might be thinking Cam Newton. I don't see a Ron Rivera-Cam Newton connection coming back to fruition. I really don't see him being the Washington football team starter. But I do see Taylor Heineke being the starter early on in the season. He played so great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They gave him a contract extension, albeit a cheap one. I think that they'll give him a shot to be the starter. He worked with Ron Rivera in Carolina, came into Washington with Ron Rivera. I think if Rivera trusts him, will give him a chance to be the guy. But ultimately, I think that Mac Jones, who they're going to select at pick 20, in my opinion, is going to be their starting quarterback moving forward. I know that's a little strange to think that they're going to roll Heineke even with drafting Mac Jones, but I think that they don't want to rush Mac Jones into anything. But ultimately, Heineke's poor play at the start of the year, in my estimation, is going to lead to Mac Jones getting the job. The New Orleans Saints, they're going to be the first team since the New York Jets did it with Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow to run a hybrid quarterback system. Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston are both going to be the quarterbacks of the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion. Taysom Hill's going to run a lot of those funky little weird sets, something that we saw Tim Tebow do with the Jets, and Jameis Winston will be their under center normal quarterback. I think the two of them will work together in a lot of ways. And the nice thing about this is, unlike what we saw with the Jets and with Tebow and Sanchez, Taysom Hill can function as a tight end. He's used to playing on the field when he's not at that quarterback position as well. I think that this has a little bit more of a making to work than the New York Jets did, especially since Sean Payton is the head coach there in New Orleans. He's one of the best offensive minds in football, and I think that these two will be the starting quarterbacks for the New Orleans Saints. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this one's another obvious one. Tom Brady, he's coming back. They might even give him a contract extension at some point. Expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be a competitive football team again with Tom Brady under center. Carolina Panthers here, I think it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater for one more year, but I do expect them to actually draft Trey Lance in this year's NFL draft at pick 8 to be the long-term guy. I would be very surprised if Matt Rule and Joe Brady don't look to get their franchise QB in some fashion, whether that's through trade. I think that they're going to be really all in on Deshaun Watson. However, I don't think they have the assets to pull it off if Miami does seriously get involved. But I think Bridgewater's the starter this year, and then I think they slowly transition into Trey Lance moving forward after that. The Atlanta Falcons, another team in that same boat there in that NFC South, they're going to roll with Matt Ryan for one more year, but I think at pick 4, it's going to be Justin Fields. I think they're going to give him a year to develop. I think Arthur Smith's going to want a guy who's a little bit mobile, can do things on the run, gives them some flexibility at that quarterback position moving forward, and I think Matt Ryan is in his latest days of his career with the Atlanta Falcons. I think that he finishes out this year with them, and then they transition to their new young quarterback, Justin Fields. The Minnesota Vikings, this is going to be Kirk Cousins. I think he's one of the most slept-on players in the entire NFL, to be completely honest with you guys. I had been high on him even when he was in Washington. And yeah, sure, maybe he doesn't win all these playoff games, but I mean, how many quarterbacks really do? I think Derek Carr is a solid QB. There's a lot of QBs out here that are quality quarterbacks and that haven't won playoff games. I mean, is everyone low on Deshaun Watson now because his team went 4-12 and they got absolutely destroyed by a lot of teams? No, that would be stupid. I think the Vikings have had some real flaws, especially in their cornerback room in the last 2-3 years. I think that the Vikings are going to continue to build around Kirk Cousins. There's no way he's not back as the Viking starter next season. Green Bay Packers, Mr. MVP Aaron Rodgers. There is no debate here on who their starting quarterback will be next season. I know they drafted Jordan Love, but that is going to not really take place for 2-3 years yet at this point, in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers has got a lot of good football left ahead of him as a Green Bay Packer. The Detroit Lions, this is going to be Jared Goff, and this is going to be one messy situation. It sounds like they're going to franchise take Kenny Golladay, which is a massive overpay in my opinion. Now, are they going to be able to keep Marvin Jones? I'm not sure yet. He's going to test free agency, I'm sure. Does Jared Goff have enough weapons to throw the ball to? Are the Detroit Lions going to be able to move the ball in 2021? I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of them. I think that they are going to be vying for a top 3 pick in next year's draft, and Jared Goff is not going to do a lot there in Detroit. Now, the Chicago Bears, here is the landing spot for Sam Darnold. He will be a Chicago Bear. I think both sides are going to be motivated to get something done with Mitchell Trubisky likely not returning as a Chicago Bear. I know they have Nick Foles there in Chicago yet, but I just don't really see them being content with rolling it back, especially with Nagy being a little bit on the hot seat, in my opinion. I think that he's going to want to find his franchise guy, and I think they're going to swing and take a chance on Sam Darnold here this offseason. The Los Angeles Rams, we know they made a move for Matthew Stafford. He will be their starter. A big improvement over Jared Goff, in my opinion, and well worth the price that they paid if this does help them in the playoff chase a little bit more. The Arizona Cardinals, this is Kyler Murray. There's no question about it. He is going to be the starter there. He and DeAndre Hopkins are going to continue building that chemistry, and expect the Cardinals to be a playoff team possibly next season. And if not, they'll miss it just by a sliver again. The San Francisco 49ers, this one's tough for me. I did opt to have Jimmy Garoppolo be their starting quarterback, but I do think it's possible that they really do explore trade opportunities to move on from Jimmy G if they do expect the Patriots to get involved. But at this point, I do think Jimmy G will be a 49er for at least one more season. And finally, the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson is their guy. He's not going anywhere. I'm not buying into the trade rumors. He is going to be a Seattle Seahawk at the end of the day for the 2021 season. Now, past that, we'll see what could happen. He does have an opt-out after 2022, so maybe the Seahawks would be more motivated to move him going into that year. But at this point, Russell Wilson will be a Seattle Seahawk for at least one more season. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and also comment so you're entered for that jersey giveaway. It's absolutely free to you to do all of those things. Just takes a second of your day. We definitely appreciate it here at Utility Sports. We hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you guys in the very next one.